Welcome to r/Reddit Revenge. This is a story of someone getting back at someone with revenge after being wronged. And today we have 3 great stories. So subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story. Annoying coworker wastes time. I strategically placed staples in the wrong bin, forcing him to dig through the trash. The second story. I turned the tables on my deceitful former stepmother by making her spend thousands to retrieve my car, which wasn't even in working condition. The third story. Rude buyer threatened me with a chargeback, but after I offered a full refund and the chargeback failed, she lost both the item and her money due to her behavior. On to the first story. Hope you have fun digging through the garbage. I'm a jeweler in a jewelry repair shop. Jewelry stores in the area ship us repair work, rings that need sizing, broken chains to solder, broken bracelet hinges, diamonds that need to be set into a mounting, etc. My job is to do the bench work that's required and then hand the job off to one of our apprentices who polish the piece to a mirror finish. Do any rhodium plating that's required, and get the jewelry ready for our final quality control inspection before the jewelry is shipped back to the stores. For the past year, we had an amazing apprentice who I'll call Rockstar. She's the coolest. She's smart, has an eye for small detail, learns things quickly, and she works fast. Since she was hired, she has been a huge help around the shop, and we've started to give her more time to work on the bench, learning how to solder with a torch and how to size rings and do some of the simpler jobs that come in. As with everything, she's picked it up quickly, and I'm sure a promotion is around the corner for her, which of course means that she has to train a replacement. Enter our new apprentice, who I'll call Wet Blanket. In many ways, he's Rockstar's opposite. He's slow, forgetful, disorganized, and he has to be babysat. He started about 4 months ago and has impressed us all with his inability to learn the ropes. It is actually astounding how many times we have to teach him how to do a task before it'll sink in. Needless to say, our annoyance with Wet Blanket has been building steadily for a while. These annoyances include, it is his job to open the packages that we get each day and receive everything into our computer system, and then sort the jobs based on what the stores are asking of us. Do we need to order parts for the job? Do they need a price estimate before we start the work? Have the stores given us enough information, or do we need to get clarification on what they want? He routinely misfiles and mislabels the work, and as a result, we end up shipping jobs out late. Part of his job is to answer the phone, and he has a bad habit of telling salespeople at the stores the wrong information. Several times, he has exacerbated ongoing customer service issues. Whenever he talks to the stores, we have to pay close attention to him and be ready to take the phone from him when he makes a mistake. Rockstar and I have each given him several demos on how to use the polishing machine. I'll look over at him and still see him doing things that we've repeatedly instructed him never to do, even 10 minutes after. On top of this, he's slow as molasses, despite having been practicing polishing for a few months now, and the quality is improving at a snail's pace. We routinely have to repolish the jewelry that he worked on. He tries to polish things that we've repeatedly told him not to, such as tennis bracelets. Bracelet hinges are a huge pain to fix because it's very easy to solder the hinge together, and because they're damaged easily by the polishing machine. We will polish at the bench with hand tools. Several times he's broken bracelets that he needn't need to even touch, creating a huge headache and a lot of extra work for me. He gets confused very easily, and I have a hard time giving him a list of instructions or telling him the steps that he needs to take for a task. He will inevitably do things out of order and have to start over. This past week has been especially bad because Rockstar is on vacation. This is supposed to be Wet Blanket's trial by fire, and nobody's impressed by his performance. At 4 every day this week, I've had to kick him off the polisher and quickly get everything done, so that we can QC in time to ship, which takes me away from my bench, and means that the whole shop has been falling behind on work. Thursday was the final straw. In the evening after we shipped, he went to rhodium plate some white gold chains, and decided to take a shortcut. He knows that he's supposed to do these one at a time, but instead he wrapped 4 chains around the hook we used for electroplating, and plated them all at once. The rhodium solution we used is kept in a beaker, on a hot plate that has a magnetic stirring bead, and the spinning bead immediately tangled all 4 chains into a knot that will haunt my nightmares. He did this right before his shift ended. As I was working a closing shift, I was left alone to untangle his horrible mess. It took 2 hours of poking and prodding and hunching over my bench with magnifiers and sharp tools to extricate each chain. Now, as you might imagine, since we work on some very valuable pieces of jewelry, we take security pretty seriously. Among a whole slew of measures is that we have 2 separate trash cans in the shop, one for regular trash with no metal allowed, and one for only metal trash like soda cans and broken drill bits and staples. It is part of Wet Blanket's job to use a metal detector wand to scan the trash before he takes it outside to the dumpster, and to search through the bin if it detects anything to ensure we aren't throwing out any customer merchandise. So after wasting my evening getting nothing done except fixing his horrible disaster, I threw some staples into the wrong trash bin. Oops, hope you enjoy digging through the trash, buddy. We can see that Wet Blanket has forgotten his oath to educate himself and not to destroy everything around him, and you've been forced to use creative revenge to respond to his inaction and negligence. Now Wet Blanket can truly make sure that his responsibilities are not limited to training, but also include careful sorting of trash. May he enjoy finding the staplers and learning with every barrier that he encounters. Hee hee. Instead, why not ask your almost former boss to take on the responsibility of finding a new student? Simply ask her to perform the duties that are usually assigned to a manager. Alternatively, you might consider leaving your business card in the general pile in the manager's seat. Given your experience in the field, the company may be interested in hiring you from within. I wish you the best of luck with FNG. The next story is, I made my former stepmother spend thousands to get my car back, and it doesn't even work. My former stepmother is absolute garbage. I always hated her because she was a massive racist/homophobe, but she reached a new low when she cheated on my father with her best friend's husband, and then tried to claim my dad physically abused her to deflect blame. This was all obvious BS, and I was literally present for a lot of the events she lied about. The whole thing wrecked my dad's mental health and made him attempt suicide multiple times, so I was dealing with a lot of the aftermath alone. One of the biggest F-ups was that my car's title was in my stepmom's name, and we just never bothered switching it out. I always made the payments and took care of maintenance myself, but my dad bought it originally when I was in high school, and put it in her name just because his credit wasn't great. Never seemed like a big deal because even though I didn't like my stepmom, they'd been married over 20 years at that point, and showed no signs of splitting up. So when all this goes down, she claims ownership of the car and demands I pay her $15,000 for the title. It was a Jeep Wrangler, so definitely has some value, but it was an older model and had serious engine issues I'd been trying to address for months with no success. Not even my mechanic could figure out what was wrong, and quoted me $3,000 for a potential solution that wasn't even guaranteed to work. So the car wasn't even running by this point, and I lived over 1,200 miles away from home for grad school. Obviously, I refused to pay her anything, and she started threatening to report the car as stolen. I just ignored her as I knew that would be a false police report, so it had better be in my dad's favor if she did after sending me straight up proof of her crime. And she technically had no right to do anything with the car, as divorce proceedings were stalled with my dad, in the hospital and mentally incompetent. Fast forward a few months, the divorce is settled, and she's going to take the car back, but getting the D thing is her problem. I'd also stopped making the payments for several months, so in order to get it current and have it towed across the country, she ended up spending nearly $5,000. All the while, she had no idea the car wasn't even running, and had been sitting in my driveway for half a year at this point. The tires on a Jeep like that are not cheap, and they were dry rotting. By the time she got the repairs done, she would have been almost $10,000 deep fixing this piece of SH. Last I heard, it was still sitting in front of her parents' house with a $15,000 price tag. I simply bought myself a newer, nicer car, and spent less than she was asking. As a Jew, I don't even believe in hell, but I hope I'm wrong just so that woman can go there. Edit. Claiming a car is stolen when you know where it is, and it's simply in the possession of your stepson, who the car was verifiably bought for, is filing a false police report, which is illegal. When there are active divorce proceedings, you're absolutely not allowed to sell assets as significant as a car, so her demanding $15,000 for it is also a blatant violation. It was rightfully hers on a technicality alone. She never drove the car or made a single payment on it. If my dad had had the mental competence to get a lawyer and defend himself, this could have easily been proven, and the car would have been awarded to him. But he let her have everything just to get her to leave him alone. Ha, what a waste. Good though, that's what she gets, especially concerning your father. I hope he's doing better. You've gotten real revenge on your ex-stepmother, and maybe that's even better than paying her that $15,000. It's interesting how you used her own greed and inability to make smart decisions to make her spend thousands of dollars on a car that doesn't really work. It seems like she got what she deserved for jealousy and spite. I'm glad you got a new and better car without spending more money than she demanded for the old one. Let this story serve as an example of how you can pay off unworthy people, and even get a little humor out of it. Who knows, maybe it'll even remind her that acting with integrity and honesty is always better than abusing trust and playing with her fate. The third story is, rude buyer threatens me with a chargeback, then loses both items and her payment. A woman bought a designer handbag from me online. Then about a week later, she sends an extremely rude message, claiming it had damages and smelled funny. She wanted her money back immediately, and demanded I send it to her on Venmo, against policy and massive red flag for fraud, or else she would file a chargeback. Threatening sellers with chargeback is also against policy. Being as it was the weekend, and her language was really abusive and gross, I decided not to interrupt my weekend, and waited till Monday morning to respond, which is within the TOS. She was really aggressive and sent me more rude messages demanding I relent and pay her off-site or else. I checked her feedback, and at least one other seller reported that she also tried to coerce them into an off-site refund with a chargeback. Buyers have enormous latitude in online sales, and to be honest, I just didn't want to deal with her anymore. So on Monday, I responded offering her a full refund in exchange for a free return. And though I did not believe she was being honest, I gave her the benefit of the doubt and said maybe it was damaged in transit. I fully expected her to return the wrong item, but after I gave her a free return and refund option, she filed in a chargeback anyways, claiming the item is not as described, then left very negative feedback. Both the feedback and existence of a chargeback claim harms my presence on the site and hits me with fees, and an automatic refund for her, taking money out of my account automatically and messing with my budget. There is a reason why most sellers will do most anything to avoid chargebacks. It really is inconvenient and damaging for us. Now, being as this used to be my profession, I know that it's considered fraudulent to file a chargeback when the retailer is offered a full refund. So naturally I appealed the case and it was decided in my favor, and a refund was reversed. I blocked her and moved along. Fast forward about 2 weeks, and the original item shows up on my doorstep, returned, and without any of the damages that she complained about. Now, I realized in this situation I have no legal obligation to refund her at all, but better still is that when I went to the seller dashboard to try, I don't even have the option to refund her because the case she opened was closed and decided in my favor. I still felt a little funny about relisting, so I emailed the site for more direction. Apparently, when you file a chargeback, you're forfeiting your right to seek a refund directly from the retailer, in favor of seeking a refund from your financial institution. She had apparently messaged the site and modified my feedback to demand a refund after the chargeback failed, and sent them the tracking number of the item she ultimately returned, saying that since she had a tracking number, they had to refund her. But a failed chargeback is final in this case. And because her behavior was deemed fraudulent, the website itself is not able or willing to refund her anymore either. The only way I could give her money back was if I unblocked her, exchanged info, and sent the refund on Venmo or PayPal, which are linked to my personal email and phone number. Given how rude she had been, I have no interest in opening up any unmediated communication, and I'm certainly not going to give her my personal contacts of any kind. So by following through on her coercive threat to file a chargeback against me, she managed to lose both the item and her money. A chargeback is not the silver bullet people often think it is. If she'd been even reasonably polite, I'd have had no issue communicating with her directly to give her their money back, even if she had filed the chargeback. Depending on the site you sell on, when buyers receive a return label or even a shipping label, they actually receive your work address, or if you sell from home, your home address. If she had kept the box the product was in, that would have been grounds for outrage, as it could have caused trouble or even resulted in her personally coming to your home. However, I'm grateful that everything ended well. Hit the like button to support the channel and subscribe. Have a good day.